Welcome back to Noise Avocation Podcast. I'm Ryan here with Jeremy as always.
Yo, yo.
If you like that song, that was The Flame by World on Fire off their latest promo EP, which we'll get into the interview with those guys in a little bit here. If you are unfamiliar with them, they're out of Buffalo, New York. Sort of like we get into it like kind of like the Casualties, like DB, like sort of political driven, thrashy, hardcore, punk rock sound.
A little crossover-ish.
Yeah. I really enjoy that sound. I like the raw vocal over the upbeat tempo punk music, so that's cool to me. But before we get into all that, if you head over to our Instagram at Noise Avocation, we'll be doing a ticket giveaway with Black Iris and the Magic Stick in Detroit for the April 14th show that Helmet and Cro-Mags are playing. All the details for that will be in the post. If you go on there, it'll be pinned at the top of our page. So if you're in the Detroit area or willing to drive to the Detroit area for that show and you haven't gotten your tickets yet and you're trying to get a pair for possibly free, go over to that post and do what you got to do in there. Jeremy, unless you have anything else, we'll get into the interview with those guys.
No, let's get into it, man. Like you said, I really enjoy this style. And I enjoyed meeting these guys, so I hope everybody else enjoys the episode as well.
After the episode, check the episode description, follow us, follow them, follow Blast Beats Vinyl, go to their website, check them out. You can use our promo code NOISE for 10% off your first order. They always have a ton of really awesome metal, death metal, black metal, all types of releases, really cool variants, really cool people. They take excellent care in packaging up your stuff, and you always get stickers and like a little handwritten thank you, and awesome company. So go check them out, follow them at the very least if you're unable to buy anything at the moment, but enjoy the interview. So Dan and John from World on Fire, thanks for jumping on the show. We appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I mixed you a couple weeks ago, so we're interviewing a band called Crossfire too, and I mixed you guys up where I was like, "Oh, we're doing Crossfire today, right?" And it was, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
Jeremy's like, "No, we're doing World on Fire," and I was, or no, I mixed it up with World I Hate, not Crossfire,
Oh, okay.
because I was talking to War Records, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're interviewing World I Hate," and he's like, "Oh, cool," and I actually have to talk to him again and recorrect that because I never fucking
That's
changed
hilarious.
it.
But I do
That's
like
funny.
World I Hate. We should do that.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. But I just between Crossfire and the World on Fire and World I Hate, like I totally mixed up bands.
Lots of burning, lots of world.
Lots of
Yeah.
burning. Yeah.
But Jeremy brought you guys to my attention like I don't know, about a month ago or so, like whenever we got in contact with you, and I really like the more like punky kind of casualties, like Discharge, Nausea, that sort of like upbeat hardcore sound that you guys have.
Yeah, it's like more street sounding for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, definitely John's the brainchild behind the sound.
So
Just you gotta keep hardcore fast. You know what I mean?
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. And there's like different elements to different hardcore bands, but it seems like a lot of right now is like kind of the beat down tough guy style hardcore, and there's a lot of great bands in that, nothing wrong with it, but it was refreshing to hear like a more quick paced, like upbeat tempo, kind of political driven band that was a little reminiscent of the older stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, hell
like
yeah.
that
We feel the
crossover
same.
sound you guys have, like where it's at, that whole era is what I get out of it.
Like, are you talking like '80s crossover or like?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're products of the '90s, Dan and I, so that kind of comes through quite a bit in our music. At least I feel.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
definitely hear it.
4/5 of us started going to shows in the 90s. And I mean, I think John really kind of started this from let's do something from like starting from that foundation of D beat, and then we kind of have a lot of other influence that kind of shine through. I think we all love melodic hardcore, and I think for me, certainly the darker side of melodic hardcore is kind of where it's at for me. But I love Youth Crew and stuff like that too, and I love heavy shit as well, And so I think there's a sampling of everything in what we do, and I think when we write music, it's really a very collaborative process of us just trying to like write stuff that we want to listen to. But there's not a lot of, I don't think there's any real other bands that I can think of doing what we're doing right now. It's definitely not in vogue.
No, I'd agree, and I like the dueling vocals. They mesh well together.
Yeah, John's got that fucking battle cry.
Yeah,
He does all
yeah.
those he does most of the backups. On our new stuff that we have got coming out, there's a couple other of our band members have some spots, but John does the majority of the backups, which is pretty cool.
So you guys said you were going to shows in the '90s. What give us some of your background? How'd you get into music? What kind of shows were you going to back then?
So I had older brothers that introduced me to hardcore and punk. There's a kind of like a show promoting group in Buffalo in the late 90s called the South Buffalo Youth Crew that did a bunch of awesome shows, and two of my older brothers were part of that. But so I kind of got introduced from them. I started going in '96 to shows, but I like my first show is Despair,
Oh man.
Indecision, Battery, Union. I can't remember exactly
Oh,
all
dude.
the bands, but I got to see a lot of fucking cool bands in the late 90s. A bunch of those like victory bands, obviously, coming through around that time. But
Shout out to Union,
Yeah.
man. That's fucking old school Buffalo shit. I just got their
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
comp, or they're not comp. They're like
Oh yeah,
discography on disc. I don't know, a couple months ago.
yeah, yeah. They just did that reunion show in December, which is fucking awesome, man. It was like a definitely. I mean, both them and Despair walked down memory lane there. It was
man.
just I felt like I was a teenager again. It was pretty awesome.
I got to get a private jet
I
for sure.
mean, you guys aren't that far. Come on. I mean, how far is it to where you're at?
From
Okay,
here
it's
to
like,
Buffalo's probably, I don't know, 14 hours or something like that.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind. My geography is terrible.
oh,
I
I
was thinking
have
like,
a
oh,
fucking,
Detroit's like 5 hours. So how much for you guys are in
Yeah.
Grand Rapids? Is that right?
No,
No,
we're up in
we're-
Alpena.
We're like 4 hours north of Detroit.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
is that like Upper Peninsula or is
Not
that?
quite.
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
We can do the hand
Jeremy's
thing if
gonna
you want.
Michigan map
I'll
you.
Michigan map you.
Show us on the mitten.
So
Where are you guys on the mitten?
like if you index finger and middle finger, kind of in between there,
Gotcha.
okay.
and we're on the coast of Lake Huron.
Okay, cool.
And we had a pretty good fucking scene in the late '90s to the early 2000s, and then it's been a drought for a while.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
don't have anywhere really to play.
Right,
so-
and it's like,
And like to
Yeah,
get
that's the
anybody,
rub.
do it.
to get anybody to travel up here is rough. Oh, Buffalo's 8 hours. My geography is apparently terrible too. 8 hours seemed
That
like it
sounds good.
wasn't far
Yeah,
enough
but-
because 8 hours is like to Chicago.
How,
And I
how
just
are
felt
you
like New
from
York felt
fucking
like that.
Cleveland?
We're about like 3 hours from Cleveland, 3.5 maybe.
Yeah.
Fuck, I thought it takes like 7 hours to get to Cleveland because I like mapped that out.
Oh, for Chubbs's wedding.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I'm like, I had to get down there.
So what about
Yeah,
you,
we-
John? What's some of your musical background?
So I started going to shows '98, and like Dan, I had an older brother, so he took me to there was this venue in Buffalo called Showplace Theater, and I don't remember if it was Snapcase that was my first show or if it was a Food Not Bombs show that I think Dan actually put on. Or
No, I didn't put it
booked.
on. I played it. I played it terribly with my high
Oh, you
school
played
band.
it, okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into things, and I got more into like the punkier side of things from there. You know, like in high school, I had like the big hair, like the charge and the mohawk and the leather jacket, and then I was really, really into bands like Tragedy and From Ashes Rise, and so that really kind of took it off from there. And you know, I've always been into hardcore, and then there was like that weird period in the very early 2000s where shit just got kind of weird with like I couldn't really differentiate between like emo and hardcore. I didn't really get it, I guess. So, you know, I liked all the older New York bands and traditional style hardcore. And then I don't know, man, I still kept on going to punk shows, and then I moved around the country quite a bit. So I got to experience different scenes. I ended up in DC for a while. That was a lot of fun. That's actually how I met Dan.
That's
We were
cool.
both in different bands at the time, and we did like a mini tour together. And then I landed back in Buffalo, so he was the first person I reached out to when I came home and said, "Hey, let's get something going." Yeah, it's kind of how it started for me. I've always kind of been more, but like I was mentioning earlier, man, like I really like the faster side of stuff. I'm not saying the slow stuff is bad. I'm just saying for me personally, I like it fast, and like I want to play as fast as I possibly can. Like that was always what we tried to emulate, like in the '90s and early 2000s when we were coming up. Me and my friends. And you'd mentioned like bands like the Casualties. I don't really listen to them anymore, but they were fucking huge back then.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? That was like a big time band, and they used to come through Buffalo quite a bit. So that was pretty fun. So I got to see bands like them, like The Unseen. Who else was Palin? The Virus. They would come through quite a bit as well. So I kind of came up through like through that side of the house.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Like I definitely prefer the faster stuff, but I get what you mean about that point in the 2000s where like emo core kind of became a thing, and I don't know, I never got into like a lot of those bands. Like Jeremy and I were talking before we started about like Turnstile and Knox Loose, and I'm not saying they're emo core or anything. I'm just saying like they have a lighter sound to them that wasn't quite as like punky and thrashy as what I was looking for.
Definitely, yeah. Things. I mean, I think the other piece in that time was like the metalcore kind of phenomenon. Like I just didn't really go down that route very much either. Never really got into the metalcore side of things. I mean, a few bands here and there, but for the most part, I just wasn't really as interested in any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think there were
But
some bands that unfairly got labeled as metalcore, but yeah, there was quite a few out there that intentionally wanted to be a metalcore band that kind of missed the mark. But I've
yeah,
seen people call like All Out War a metalcore band, and like we interviewed Mike Score like a while back, and he was like, I'd never really cared for the term metalcore, nor did we, label ourselves as a metalcore band.
What
right.
did he
Yeah.
say? Like, were he just like, yeah, we're just a hardcore band? Because I'm curious too. I must have missed that one.
Yeah, basically like they're hardcore or kind of like, what did he say? It was like hardcore with a tinge of metal, which I guess would be by definition metalcore, but he just never liked the term. But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
more
I
like
like to-
if Slayer started like a hardcore band, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to differentiate between like metallic hardcore and like metalcore. I think those are two different things, you know?
Yeah, I would say it's just so fucking hard to like. I don't know. I hate fucking genre naming because it seems like we're saying it'll possibly take away from a band and then throw them into a category that you're like.
Well, because if somebody's like, I really love this genre or I hate this genre, and you throw a band into that genre one way or the other, like they're gonna be like, oh, I love this band because of that, or I hate this band because of that.
Right.
And that seems unfair to the band. Like they should be, like not everything has to have a label. I get like as far as genres go, like people like to label shit, but at some point it just becomes
Well, we gotta call it something.
way too much. Yeah, but just call it fucking punk rock or something. I don't know, but like especially when you get into like metal, like you got black metal and blackened death and death black metal and black death
Yeah,
metal,
dude, it's
and
all
you're just
fucked
like,
up.
dude, what the fuck where's the line for all these bands?
I'm into Warzone. I can listen to Warzone every day for the rest of my life and be all right.
Hell
with
yeah.
it. That's where I'm coming from.
So you guys were in numerous different bands, to my knowledge. What were some of the bands that you guys were in before World on Fire?
Well, John and I met when he was singing in I was singing in Wreckage. He was not the Wreckage that's currently around, but a Wreckage from Buffalo. And he was singing in Teamster. And prior to that, I was in a band called On Alert. And John, you want to kind of give your resume?
Oh man, there's been so many. I was like the 27th bass player of Switch 86. I was in a hardcore band when I was like 16 called the CLB. I was in like a Oi band called Old Scars for a while. Jesus Christ, what else? I don't know, man, like a million. I bounced around from punk band to punk band to punk band over like the last 20 years, but we've been around since like 2019, I think. So this has been my main project since then. Before that, I was in Teamster from like 2010 to 2018 ish.
Okay.
So kind of all over. Nothing huge, like nothing you would have like probably heard on the radio, obviously, or you know.
I was just curious for
small
my
time
own
stuff.
for my own notes and shit, like so I can write the stuff down. So you guys were in multiple bands, and then John, you moved back to Buffalo from DC, and that's how World on Fire got together?
Yep.
Okay. And that was 2019. So then you guys have done 2 EPs since then, one in 2020 and one in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but remember what happened between then
Yeah,
was fucking
exactly.
COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We got absolutely crushed by it, dude. Like one of us had COVID at any point during those like
Just traded
2
it
whole
back
years.
and forth.
It was horrible. So we got off track so many times because of that. We got derailed so many times. We had like one lineup change there. Well, actually, I guess 2 if you count bringing in Matt. But we got rid of our old bass player and got a new bass player, and we had to catch him up. And then we got a second guitar player, and that was all still during COVID. So it was a fucking real shitty time to be in a band because shows weren't going on. I mean, it was hard enough just to get together to practice for that whole time.
Yeah, because if one guy's in quarantine, then the whole practice is ruined.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just one of us was always sick or something. Something was always going on where we couldn't even get together.
Yeah, being in Buffalo, I can imagine it'd be a lot different. Like we're in our town's like 30,000 people. It's probably a little crazier in a bigger city. You guys like in Buffalo, or are you out in the suburbs, or?
No, we're all in the metro area, so we're all pretty much right there.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the city proper, and like it was definitely pretty chaotic here for the first bit. And working with the school system, like
Yeah.
man, shit's still fucked up, you know? Like that was just a wild, those are a wild couple of years. But I'd say, I mean, for us, we kind of, I think John probably really hit our stride. Man, I'm trying to it all blurs together now. Was it 2021? Was that like the fall of 2021 when we first really started playing shows and stuff like that? Was that when everything was opening back up?
Yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
when Buffalo opened back up, was
Okay.
21.
But yes, I think that's kind of really where it feels like we started. I mean, obviously we dropped our demo the year before that, but again, everything was shut down at that point. So
Right.
nothing was really happening, but we just had the stuff and it was ready to go. So we dropped it. And then yeah, that sampler, the promo that we dropped last summer was the two songs are going to be on our full length, and then we did that cover of the Integrity cover of Hollow
Yep.
with Rick from Extension AD. That's kind of just was like, it's only going to live there. It's not going to be on the album or anything like that. But yeah,
Okay.
just a little something to try to keep people engaged until we actually drop the album, which is at the pressing plant now. So, but it's been there for a minute. I mean, we don't expect to have it back for another couple of months or 3 months, possibly even. So, who knows?
Do you guys have a name for the record yet? Or have you not announced it publicly?
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to take it, John?
Ad nauseum.
Okay.
Yeah, and fun fact, that's actually been done, like completed done for, I don't know, Dan, like over a year easily.
No, we put the finishing touches on it. The last finishing touches like midsummer last year, but it's been done for a long, way longer than it should be sitting on a shelf, you know. But yeah, it's just we just had some false starts over the summer. The dudes are pretty set on wanting vinyl. We got some offers to do cassette or do CDs from different labels, and we're just trying to shop it around a little bit. And eventually, we decided we're going to put it out ourselves. But we didn't pull the trigger on that until probably December. Was it, John? Something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
few
we
months
finally
back,
put the
and then-
order in.
yeah. So it'll be in our hands hopefully in the next few months, and we'll hopefully do a release show and all that kind of fun stuff.
And you're
Yeah,
you're
you
putting
guys
that
are
out by
never going to
yourself.
believe this, but labels don't really want to put out our music.
That's what I
Fucking weird, right?
was just getting at. Is like you guys are putting it out yourselves then? Like
Yeah.
We're just gonna
self-release.
that's the way to
self-release
do it nowadays, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
when
but
you're doing a
vinyl's so fucking
limited
expensive.
run, it's
Yep.
not that expensive, really.
Yeah, that'll be
So-
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So are you doing records? I didn't hear if you said you were putting out on vinyl or not.
Yeah, it's vinyl.
Okay. Are you doing other formats as well, or just vinyl? I mean, I know that's like the king of the 3 selling formats, but tapes seem to fucking move quite a bit now too.
No, we'll
order
probably just do the digital release and the vinyl. I imagine we haven't really talked about it, John, but does that make sense?
Yeah, that's all we have planned right now. We didn't put an order in
Yeah.
for tape, but I mean, I guess if people really wanted them, we could do it.
Yeah. I guess
Right.
that's one of those
That's
things where
something we
you
could do
like,
here locally. We don't got to send it off overseas to get pressed or anything. So we could probably have a tape ready in like a weekend if we really wanted to have it out there.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there would be people that would be into it. I don't personally really collect tapes all that much. I have some, but I prefer not to buy them, just as a preference. But there's a lot of tape people out there.
Yeah.
I never really got that. It's such an inconvenient way to listen to music.
Yeah.
Your thoughts and prayers is that on tape still?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird story how that ended up getting released.
Do you still have
I
some?
guess it depends on which version of it you have.
Do you still have copies of it?
Yeah,
We
there's
do,
still some-
yeah. So we actually,
They're on the
like the
Bandcamp, I think.
official cassettes
thought
that we
so.
now have, we didn't actually have until last summer, was it, John? That we actually ended up making those. There is a young person coming up in the scene who like was trying their hand at like a label and whatnot, and was like, "Hey, I wanna put out your demo and do cassettes and everything like that and CDs." Like, we're like, yeah, go for it, Or
Yeah.
young kid, like, go for it, have at it. And but it was like terrible like quality everything. We're like, oh God, like printed like stickers off of like, like off of like a home like office printer, and like it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like bad. But we didn't have the heart to be like, hey, we're not really like,
Right, right.
15-year-olds anymore that are want to do that kind of thing anymore. So we just kind of rode with it for a while, and then eventually they're like, hey, I'm kind of like going in a different direction and don't really want to like be doing this kind of thing anymore. And they're like, I just kind of want you to know, like, I'm gonna not be focusing on you guys anymore. We're like, oh yeah, it's cool, like no worries at all. And so once that happened, and we kind of went in a different direction, and like, hey, let's get these cassettes made for real this time. So we went with a just a guy locally who does cassettes and screen printing and stuff like that. So yeah, we got those. I think we probably have maybe about like 20 left.
Now I
We don't
love
got a ton.
cassettes because like for demos and shit, and because of that sound, just because that's how I remember hearing a lot of shit,
Yeah,
and they're cheap, so
yeah,
like you got a hard copy.
yeah.
I don't know, but we're like
That's the
we're
thing.
music
It's
nerds
cheap as
though, so
hell.
we have all the equipment. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have fond memories of listening to the tapes when I was younger, but I don't have fond memories of them like breaking or like them getting jammed up in the cassette player
Yeah,
and like
tape
having to
break.
rewind them endlessly, like all that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I get why it's like a nostalgic kind of medium to like be do music on, but I don't think I'll ever go back to wanting to listen to tapes personally. But like I've never listened to our cassette personally. But I have boxes of cassettes,
That's
in
awesome.
my attic.
See that
Yeah.
one tape that the kid did, like that's gonna be the one that's gonna become a collectible at some point because it was the
Yeah,
obscure one.
probably. I don't even think I have one. John, do you have one?
Let me check. I'm up in my office right now. I used to have one sitting right up here.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I
have
bought a
one.
few of the CDRs off them, and or they were supposed to be just CDs, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll buy a few of the CDs, and I get them, and they're just like CDRs
And they're
with
like Memorex
like
CDs with Sharpie
yeah,
written
yeah,
Yeah,
on it.
no,
exactly, with
seriously,
like
we're not
written on,
exaggerating. That's
and
really
like
what it
a
was like.
photocopied insert that like was like just I was like, and I was gonna like send them to some friends and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna do that after all. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna hold on to these.
one of those
It was
really
bad.
really
Oh
thin
yeah, I
jewel
do have it. It's right
cases.
here. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like one of those see-through TDK tapes too. It's not even
yeah.
like a,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just written on a Sharpie WOF. Um, and the O looks like the female sign, like male female. That's I don't know why
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
The
really? That's funny.
Yeah, on mine it is anyway. I don't know if all of them were like that. I've actually never even listened to this, but I can tell you just by looking at it that there's about like an hour worth of tape for about 7 minutes of music. So I'm not sure if it just plays on repeat or if it plays once. I don't know. I've honestly never listened to it because I don't have a
Well,
tape player because it's
I know
not
like the
1992.
the cassette we did have made by Biff, like that one does repeat. I think he either repeated it on side A and side B, or maybe he even like has it repeat twice on one side and twice on the
Oh,
other
that makes
side.
sense.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, kudos to that kid for at least trying. Like that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's cool,
But
but like it was also the time where like COVID had just started and we all thought we were going to die, so we're like, well, fuck it.
right.
Make sure he can put it out. I guess I don't care. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Everything's fucking falling apart anyway.
Yeah.
But they tried. I don't even know if that kid is still around anymore. I think he probably already dropped out of the scene, which isn't uncommon.
I haven't
Anyway,
seen them
but
in a long time. I
yeah,
mean, I think the last that they communicated with us was the last time I heard anything about them. So
yeah,
who
that was
knows?
years ago. So who knows?
He did one tape and was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm done."
Yeah, he was like, you know what, this fucking sucks. I'm not about to spend any more money on this, and then just bounce.
They came from a pretty well-to-do family from what we gathered, and they wanted to have us come over and like play a show at their house, and they had like a nice in-ground pool, and we're like, we're gonna ride this out until we can do this, but that never happened, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that would have been sweet.
Well, yeah,
Although I
you
think we were like,
think it
we're
would.
probably like as old as your parents. That might be kind of weird,
It
so
would definitely be weird. Like we're all fucking 40 and we're gonna go play this pool party. I don't know, man. I wouldn't have felt okay about that.
yeah, probably for the best it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So this new record, did you guys record everything yourselves too, or did you do it in a studio?
We did in a studio. We originally were gonna have our buddy Mike Hadalack, who was in It Dies Today, and he played with me in Wreckage. He was gonna be doing the recording. He recorded
Man,
the
that's such
demo.
a cool name. Sorry, keep going.
Wreckage, yeah, I fucking
No,
love that
no,
name. That was
Mike Cadillac. Mike, was it
oh,
Mike?
Mike Hadalack.
Mike Cadillac. Sounds like Mike
Yeah,
Cadillac.
yeah, right. That's not like Mike Cadillac. Yeah, yeah, it totally does. But
Anyway, sorry, I
he's
didn't
a
mean
fucking
to. I just like
he's fucking
noticed that.
awesome at what he does. He's just like he's got such a great ear and just does amazing sound engineering. But he just didn't have time for it. But originally he was like, "Hey, go and get your drums done." At the studio we ended up recording everything in. Go get your drums done there, and then I'll do everything else. But then he wasn't able to get the time to do everything else, so we ended up going back and recording the full thing with Nick Borges at what's it called, John? Is it Sound
Sun something.
Sound
Uh,
Authentic? Sound Authentic Studios? I don't know. It was completely like we did not plan for this at all. We just thought we were gonna have him track drums, and then all of a sudden we kind of got stuck doing everything with him, which it worked out fine, but we just wasn't what our original plan was.
Yeah. What about like lyric content? Do you guys all, Dan, you sing, do you write all your own stuff, or does it kind of the band pitches in on everything?
I've written everything to date. John, I imagine probably at some point will write some lyrics. He's definitely a strong lyricist in his own right. He did that in Teamster, and he's I think John, you wrote a few lines in Death Throes, right? Yeah, you wrote your lines that you're singing in the chorus of Death Throes. You wrote.
yeah,
So
it's too much pressure, man. I'll just leave that to you. That's
the writing, the lyrics, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that's kind of always where I've connected with this music genre. I've always cared the most about what people were saying, and gravitated more towards that. I mean, I love the sound and all that, but my tastes are sonically across the board. I'm all over the map, but the common thread is always that I love the lyrical content, and so that's always been where I've fit into this genre.
That's kind of how I don't say I judge all music like that, but where most people, like we were talking about this before we did this, you guys jumped on, but how like everybody listens for the beat or if they can dance to it or shake, like, and the lyrics are, second. And yeah, I just don't operate that way. Shit's
No,
got to
me
be
neither.
about something, it's got to like, and I have to believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've always gravitated towards the tortured soul. The person who's like going through some shit,
Oh
got
yeah,
some demons in their head, because that's how I always was. I just always pissed off, always had some shit bouncing around in my head, and needed to kind of have that release. And so that's I mean, this band is that for me. I know it is for all of us, but definitely for me, it's a way to kind of exercise some demons and get some shit off my chest. So yeah, I love that. I love that about hardcore music, and I mean that's what being in a genre that's pissed off and angry and fast and all that just lends itself to. It's a great vehicle for expressing the darker side of the things we experience.
Yeah, I would
well
agree
put.
for sure. I mean, so the band name is kind of obvious of how you got that, but like as far as the lyrical content goes, is there certain things that you look to for inspiration in your writing, or do you just kind of let like current events and stuff
Like
mold that for you?
autobiographical.
I think everything is kind of a melding of the personal and the political. I kind of find it boring when a band is just kind of like has a political tirade with no real kind of like it's like you're reading a news article or something like that, like, or an opinion piece. Like that just is kind of boring to me. I want there to be some sort of a personal, emotional connection to that thing.
Yeah, and
So
actually
that's
like
always
have
what
a
I'm going
reason
for.
for like why you're saying that stuff, not to just be a cliche
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got to be authentic. It's got to be something I'm actually feeling. And I think now I'm a parent of two young kids. My kids are 7 and 6 now, and I see the world that they're coming up in and the world that they're inheriting, and it's scary as shit. It's
Fucking
it's
A.
a it's a fucking scary place, and it's getting scarier by the day. And they're also multiracial. They're not, just like gonna have the same experience that I've had being a white dude coming up, and that's scary, you know. So I think a lot of what I write about is inspired by that, you know, being a dad and kind of worrying about my kids and what they're gonna inherit, but you know, just being pissed off about things like climate change and the fact that they're gonna have to be worrying about like what's the air quality gonna be like today? Do I need to wear a mask because there's forest fires all over the fucking place? Like that
Yeah.
kind of thing is stuff that I didn't have to worry about growing up that they're gonna have to worry about, you know, every single summer now, you know, shit like that. Or like we had that fucking maniac drive to our city and shoot up
Yeah, it's
the
fucked
grocery
up.
store, you know,
Oh yeah,
because we
that's right.
have the most because segregation in Buffalo is so bad that you could find the highest concentration of black people in the state in one of our zip codes. And so that's why he came here because he's like, oh, I'm gonna be able to get the most bang for my buck shooting at black
That's
people
fucked
going to
up.
the one grocery store in this food desert, you know, like that they have in this one zip code. And so like, you know, I remember right when that happened and I heard about it. I was with my kids and I was like thinking like, fuck, I gotta be a dad here and like kind of keep my cool and everything. But this is the fucking world. Like this guy would have killed them, you know, if he had a chance. If you guys had been in that story, been like, oh, okay, here's two more down, you know, that would have been that's the world that they're inheriting, you know. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I write about. And we actually have a song about that massacre. But yeah, all these they're all kind of political themes that are somehow resonate with me and on a personal level somehow, some way, you know.
I remember, I mean, we seem us similarly grow up pissed off, and right before I had a kid, or my girl had him. I didn't obviously physically, but thank God. But I thought I'm like, hell, maybe I'll settle down. But like what you're saying is how I felt. I mean, I'm more pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought I would be like, all right, I'll calm down. But yeah, bringing kids into the world is it is definitely the scariest shit you can do. But it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. And it's scary because I think all of us in this scene we kind of have a couple of screws loose probably.
Yeah,
That's probably
everybody's
what
got
made us
issues for
come this
sure.
way, right? And like to some extent we don't necessarily always care about what happens to us, you know?
Right?
Um but like now you bring other loved ones into it and like shit's on, you know?
Yep.
You know, we'll fucking go to war over that. So yeah, I think that's kind of it's definitely been a like a magnifying effect on my anger and just how pissed off I am about shit. So
I think there's a lot of us out there.
yeah,
I think your music is a good outlet for it though,
Fucking A.
because it comes through definitely like the anger. You feel that shit, but in a good way. Like,
yeah. No, it's a very positive release and I you know I say it and I sound like a broken record, say it all the time, but this genre saved my life, you know, many times over. And it sounds like a
Fucking.
cliche, but it's fucking true. It's
Oh, it's
fucking
so
true.
true, man. So true.
Um, yeah, like I was just you know just coming up angry, pissed off, lots of trauma in my life, you know, like I would not be where I am today. Lots of addiction in my family and all that shit. Like, found straight edge at the right time, you know, like and all that, and I'm still straight edge today. Like all that shit, like definitely saved my life. And this is a like such a important release and mental health strategy for me. Always has been, always will be. I've never been the kind of person that like knew all the bands or knew all the people or like knew all the lore and all that. But like I have always had like such a deep connection to this genre just because I like it was a lifeline, you know, in a lot of ways.
Fucking right.
so how is the current hardcore scene in Buffalo?
Seems like there's a lot of bands popping off right now.
Yeah,
That's great. I mean, we
definitely.
probably have more bands per capita than like any other city in the country. That's not an exaggeration. I mean, Buffalo is really knocking it out of the park right now. But we've always had like a real strong underground music scene though, like forever. When I was a kid, it was huge. It's huge now. There's been some like lulls over the years, but I think everybody probably suffered through those lulls, like around like 2010 to like I don't know, kind of recently. There wasn't a whole lot going on. There was the big fest, but you know, recently things have really taken off. I think there's a whole new generation getting involved, which is real fun to see.
Tons of young kids, tons of young
that's
kids.
They're
fucking
real,
awesome.
real into the '90s too, which is like weird. It's like fucking because I'm going to shows and there's kids wearing like
Oh.
Jenkos again.
Dude, I was just
We
talking about
just
that, man.
talked about
Watching
that.
FYA and shit. I was like, oh, what the fuck? And this dude's like, I'm in junior fucking high again. What? That was crazy.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
crazy, but it's a
trends
lot of fun
go
though
in
too.
30 years though.
Oh, my
like, because
God.
remember for a while, like 70s was all the trend. Like 90s is
Yeah,
My
in
old
the
lady
90s.
loves the
yeah,
70s.
Yeah.
90s is the next.
Yeah, it's crazy, but no, it's cool. I mean, there's always good shows going on. It's a real supportive community. Everybody's just into it. It's a lot of the shitty things that used to go on back in Buffalo, back in the day, are no longer around. Like there's no violence, there's no
Yeah,
gangs, there's
yeah.
no stupid shit. It's just people having fun and enjoying themselves, and that's really what it probably should have been about the entire time, but it just never really was.
No,
There's
I
always
feel
so much
that too, man.
bullshit.
It's definitely fucking happier, you know?
Yeah. Like nobody gets in knife fights anymore, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'll agree with that for sure, man. Getting
Yeah,
stabbed
that's
is
cool.
fucking
Buffalo's a
gay.
great place to be right now.
Yeah, the other cool thing is just how multi-generational it is. You know, like we're not even the oldest. Like there's a whole like generation of old heads older than us, you know,
Oh, no
that
doubt.
are around, you know, and like they're around, and like people that were coming up in the 90s like we did are around. There's people that came up in the 2000s that are around, and like I mean, just like all these generations like have their segment of the not segment of the scene, but they're all kind of like in that melting pot, which is really cool. And I don't remember that really
Well, it's like
being a
everybody
thing when I
has a
was
little
younger, you
like
know?
claim to it in their own right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's cool.
yeah. And there's like, I mean, we just played last Friday with like probably the youngest band that I know. I mean, that I know of, Monomaniac, and they're just like young kids, totally just doing their thing. Sound nothing like us, but like they're just really embodying like you know like that spirit of Buffalo hardcore that we all kind of just like we fly that flag. You know, we all don't sound at all alike, but just cool to see like. You could have added up the ages of like everyone in that band, and it probably would be like the median age of our band. I mean, not
What's
quite, you know,
the
a little bit older than that, but
what it was Monomaniac?
Monomaniac, yeah, they're on Instagram, and certainly if you look at some of like our if you look at some of our like recent posts, you'll see them
I'll
tagged
definitely
because
check them out.
yeah, but them Selfish Act, what's some of those other young bands, John, like Forest Fire,
I mean, most of
there's a
them are younger
bunch.
than us, so it's tough to like where do we have the
Yeah.
cutoff? Are we? If we're talking like kids still in their teens, then yeah, there's probably like 5 or 6 bands right now that are.
There's a ton, yeah. And you have
Yeah,
I mean, of course, other like well-established bands like Exhibition and Spaced are doing just awesome things too. And then you got like, you know, Scott Vogel doing that side project, Bad Blood, you know. And I mean, there's just so much going on right now, and just really the scene is flourishing. And it's cool to see that Buffalo was like pretty central for a long time, like in the 90s and whatnot, really strong scene, was on the tour circuit and everything. And then bands started looking it over, and it's starting to finally turn the corner, like where like bands are starting to come through again. Like Magnitude came through not too long ago and
Oh
said it
man,
was
that's
it was like a
another great
midweek
band.
show. Yeah, it was like a midweek show, and they're like, this is one of like the best shows we've had on tour, and it's amazing that it's like you know midweek and this many people came out and all that. And it was cool. I was listening to that Time Heist episode you all did not
Yeah,
too
yeah.
long ago, and hear them say that they wanted to come through Buffalo. I was like, fuck yeah, man! People are we're back on the map, so it's cool. I'm
That,
stoked about it.
yeah, that's
That
fucking
is cool
rad.
because even historically, musically, Buffalo is like overlooked because you guys don't have like a ton of like huge artists that come out of there. I mean, you got like
what are you talking about? We had Green Jello. They were from Buffalo, weren't they?
yeah, but I'm saying like
Nah, but
you had like Rick James
I was gonna say Rick James,
and
Benny the Butcher.
yeah.
Benny the Butcher and those guys, but I
Scott
wouldn't even
Vogel's
say
the
that they're
most
even
famous guy I
close
know.
to Rick James though.
No. But the hardcore side of things, you know, like we've had definitely our fair share of some pretty
Oh,
big acts, Snapcase
absolutely.
and
I'm just
Despair, Buried
saying, like,
Alive, It Dies Today,
yeah, you just think like, you know, you could
Every Time I Die.
pinpoint like 1,000,001 people that come out of Detroit as far as huge artists or like LA
Right.
or et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not saying you guys didn't have bands for sure, but I'm just saying like as far as being on the map like nationally, like it definitely got overlooked for a while.
You guys said
Yeah, and certainly being in New York State,
Right.
you're always playing second fiddle to New York City, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
do you guys know anybody from Every Time I Die?
And not like I'm not like buddies with them, but I'd
No, yeah.
recognize one
Do
or
you
two of
know
them if I.
well, like there's a friend of ours, a friend of mine from Alpena who's been living in Buffalo for like I want to say 10 years, but it's probably been like 20 years. Dan
Mhm.
Lockery, but he hung out with those guys. They were like his neighbors. I don't know if you knew if
I
maybe you heard that
I
name.
mean, I was never like friends with them, but I know, yeah, I know all of them. Mitch
Not
Mitch
those
did
guys. I don't know them. I only know Dan who lived. He's like he
yeah,
just.
yeah.
I was just wondering because he's been in
Yeah, no. I mean,
like,
I'm not
shows
like
and
tight
shit.
with any of them or anything like that, but yeah, I knew Mitch a little bit and and definitely their old drummer, I knew him a bit. But
I'll be honest. I
yeah.
never even got
No.
into that band. I didn't. Last Night in Town was the last album I listened to. If that tells you anything.
That was a
Yeah, I
long
never
time
I
ago.
never got into it either. It was never my style.
Yeah, me neither. No, no disrespect to those guys out there.
Yeah. And certainly I think if you asked other people in our band, I think Fletcher and Matt both loved Every Time I Die. So I mean, it's their hometown heroes. People like them a lot, and they always did that Christmas show and everything, and people would really love that. But it's weird, like Every Time I Die, like locally, like they're pretty like mainstream in a way. Like I would go to like physical therapist and like the physical therapist would be like, "Oh yeah, like Every Time I Die." It's like, "Wait, what?"
What?
Like you're
Yeah,
not like in
Right.
it's like shit like that. It's just kind of weird. You just meet people like, "Oh yeah, we like Every Time I Die." It's like it's just
yeah, because
completely
they were
like
on
not
like
connected
the
at all.
fucking like metal radio or whatever.
Yeah. And like locally they had just an insane following.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So shows for you guys now that everything has long been like open and good to go. Like you guys, I haven't checked to see any of your past shows, but I did see like we talked about this before we started. Your Bandcamp picture was you guys playing at Sanctuary in Detroit. What about shows like in Buffalo? You guys have a fair amount of shows that you've been doing.
Yeah, we probably play, what do you say, John? Like maybe once a month, once every other month, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty consistent.
Yeah,
That's
we
not bad.
mostly only played in Buffalo. We played in Rochester once and had that show in Detroit. Other than that, we're all kind of older and it's hard to kind of get our availability to get out on the road. We'd like to get out and do some weekends and stuff like that, but it's just been kind of tough to make it time wise.
Yeah, those little kids, man. They take up a lot of your time.
Yeah, they my kiddos came out to our show last week and it was kind of fun. They're
That's
super
awesome.
stoked on I don't know, John, if you knew Fletcher gave them one of his bass picks and they freaked out. They were so excited.
Yeah, it's Fletcher. That was awesome.
You could just shove a kid in a guitar case and bring him with
Yep.
you on tour.
Yeah, my daughter wanted to work the merch table and my wife made her leave because it was past her
No.
bedtime. She was pretty pissed off.
Ah, damn.
Devastating.
So that show that was in at Sanctuary, was that the Detroit Bully Corps show thing that we were talking about beforehand?
Yeah, Bill set that one up.
Okay. And when was that? That was semi recently, wasn't it?
This is in the summer, last summer.
July, I want to say July.
Yeah.
Who else did you guys play with then? I didn't see
Uh,
I didn't see the flyer for the show.
Fuck, what's their name?
Kings Never Die was
Things Never
coming
Die.
out
Yeah.
for a few days, and so we did a show with them in Buffalo the day after, and they played with us there. Oh
You
damn,
you
who else played
mentioned
that show?
you mentioned Chubbs in Cleveland. I can't remember his name, but he was there. Whatever band that is.
One Life Crew?
No, it wasn't Chubbs. It was that was In Cold Blood. Was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. In Cold
Yeah,
Blood.
they had an album In Cold Blood. They had an album on Victory.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. They played.
Oh, that's right. They got
Band.
back together, didn't they? I forgot about that.
And then it's a couple locals. And then I think there was another band, I'm blanking on their name, they were from somewhere else in Michigan. They came like a few hours away. I'm not sure where, but they came down too. That was a good show. It was fun.
And those shows are like a nonprofit, like charity type of thing, aren't they? I never been to one of his Bill's
Yeah, I mean,
shows that he did.
it's a hardcore show. It's just the proceeds go to their charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a benefit.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I thought.
yeah, you'd never know it was a charity show until they told you. You know what I mean? But they did a lot of great stuff over the years, especially down in Baltimore. There was a chapter down in Baltimore when I was playing in DC. We would play a lot of their shows, and they raised a lot of money. And they put on some fucking real good headliners for that too over the years. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Detroit that do a lot of great shit as far as shows go, piecing together just killer lineups of bands.
That's another place too, man. There's so much good shit popping off out of there right now.
Where's that, Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I'd actually never been to a show in Detroit before. That was my first time. So, I mean, Sanctuary was cool. It was a cool venue. I wish we had a place like that here in Buffalo. We're running a little short on venues at the moment.
Yeah.
The only other time I was there was Earth Mover reunion in was that 2010 maybe?
I was
Like
at
right
that show.
around.
That was
Oh, that show was fucking insane,
Yeah.
man. And so this show was just like, well, it's not how I remember Detroit being, you know? It was just clearly like a different generation now. But yeah, that show is awesome.
Yeah, that yeah. Listen to the Earth Mover episode.
I seen the 2016
Yeah, I did.
Earth
Yeah.
Mover
Oh, right
reunion
on.
show,
That's
not
good
the 2010 one.
Oh, okay.
The one that you talking about the one that just happened?
No, I seen one in 2016 at Motor City
Oh, okay.
Fest when they played with Annie Up and the Alliance and Cold as Life, or what was a remnant of Cold as Life at the time. And I'm trying to think of who else was really there. But it was a bunch of other bands too. Murphy's Law was there.
That'd be cool. I got to see those guys in Detroit once too.
Who's that, Murphy's
Yeah.
Law?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun. They used to come through Buffalo all the time.
I was lucky. I got to see Earth Mover at that 2010 reunion, and then they played Chicago like a month or two later. I got to see him. I was living in Chicago at the time. I got to see him there again. So that was cool too. Like that was cool because that was one of those bands that I just loved growing up.
Oh yeah.
And like Len is like totally that pissed off
Yeah.
like front person, you know, that I just gravitate towards that kind of music. And so it was awesome getting to see them again, you know, now as an adult. And just just kind of reliving some of that stuff is pretty cool.
Fuck yeah, man. It's good. I'm glad that there's footage on YouTube of it too.
Yeah. I fucked up my knee pretty good at that Detroit show though. I was in a knee brace for a while afterwards, but it was totally worth it. So worth it.
Always is.
Yep.
So what about bands now that are out currently? Like, what do you guys listen to just day to day as far as music goes?
Let's see, what am I jamming a lot these days? I love Inclination. That band's fucking awesome. Trying to think what else is like contemporary stuff that I'm really jamming these days. I love the new Hope conspiracy shit that's been coming out.
Fucking A,
That's
man,
just
that
really
shit's
good.
Dope as fuck. Did you see that video today?
Yeah, John, is that what you posted, John? In our
Yeah, I sent the
band chat?
track. I didn't know there was a video,
Yeah.
but I just sent the that popped up today. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, that song was good. I know Matt said that our other guitarist thought that the other songs just came out recently were better, but I thought this one was the best one that's come out recently. That was just fucking great. I'm waiting to see if they're gonna get announced on This Is Hardcore or something. Like I feel like they're putting out a lot right now.
That'd be
Which
fucking cool.
It seemed like they're kind of just like laying some breadcrumbs, but who knows? What else though? I don't know. I like Ended a lot.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
Those guys are
Oh,
playing Tied Down. That'll be cool. Get to see those guys.
Yeah. I saw that. Are you guys going to Tie Down?
Yes, sir.
I didn't
Nice.
even know they were on. I lost track of the whole lineup.
Oh, dude, I got
I remember like
I got
Terror,
the
100
list
Demons.
fucking taped up on my wall and shit. Fucking, I'm so stoked for that.
Nice. What about you, John? What are you listening to?
Oh man, I always hate this question because I don't really listen to new music. I'm like stuck in the past and I can't move forward. So
Well,
it's like
that's why
I've been listening
I
to the same
asked, what do
shit
you
for like
listen
fucking
to?
25 years.
That's why I asked day to day, not just new. Because I mean, I don't care, new or old. I'm just curious.
Day to day, so I run a lot, so I'm always listening to shit when I run for like hour 90 minutes a day. So there's this band called Autarch. They're really really good. It's like Autarch. I'm always got Tragedy in heavy rotation. From Ashes Rise. I'm just like looking at my music app right now, and it's like, hey dickhead, you've been listening to these same 20 albums every day you're out there. So
your wrapped up thing is the same 20 records.
pretty much, yeah. Like non-hardcore, like I really like the Menzingers. Not so much their new album, but their older stuff. Title Fight, that's always out there. Gnostic Front, that's a good running one. I don't know, man. I'm all over the place, but yeah, nothing new. Every time I try to break away, I just get sucked back into the shit I was listening to 20 years ago, and then I just never leave.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. But I usually, like, I don't know, like, I listen to everything that I loved 20 years ago, etc. Not everything, because there's some stuff that I'm like, this didn't age well. But I also, like, I don't know, I make it a point to try to find new stuff just because I listen so obsessively that I end up wearing out the other stuff to where I'm sick of hearing it for a little bit. And then I'll just go off it for a while, find something else, and then go back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always open for suggestions. It's just, if you leave it to me, I'm going to go back to the same old thing. But if you put something in front of me and say, hey, listen to this, I'm going to listen to it.
Yeah.
Just keep listening to the show, man.
I need
Fucking check them out.
Yeah, I got to get pushed in the right direction. That's all.
I mean, at least you're willing to try, though, because there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, fuck that. If it's not this band, I don't want to hear it. Or if it doesn't sound like this band, I'm like, well, yeah, that's cool. That band's great. But, like, don't you want to listen to, like, this band that's also great? Like,
no, I don't take it that seriously. I'm fucking weird, man. I don't know. I could also eat the same thing every day and not get bored of that. So
I could kind of do that.
Personality quirk.
So we always ask at the end of every episode.
Oh, you were gonna ask it?
Yeah. What? Since you guys,
I was gonna transition into that from that question.
What do you guys listen to that nobody would know that you listen to or expect you to listen to? Like when you're running, maybe you're really listening to J-Lo instead of Agnostic Front. You just don't want to say.
I mean, that would be the best way to work on your glutes, dude.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah.
That'd be the goals to have.
I'm big into like 80s new wave and post punk, but that's not that outlandish. But I also really like
I love 80s new wave like a lot.
Yeah. Just like weird ambient stuff, which you probably wouldn't guess. I mean, I don't know why anybody would, but it's like dark ambient, droney kind of shit.
Okay.
That's all over YouTube too. It's a good time to be into that because anybody can fucking make it basically now with a laptop, and it all sounds pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like there's a metal band, Blood Incantation, that did a ambient album not that long ago that I don't think anybody was expecting that they were going to put out an ambient record, but when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know. And then like you listen to it in a different context or like sit down and really like dissect it, you're like, damn, this is actually pretty sweet.
What about you, Dan?
He's scrolling through his library.
No.
I got the Peppa Pig theme song in here.
Hey, if you want to go there, I mean, my girls are into all that shit. So it's a pretty sweet song on Spotify that they found. That's called the Poop Song. They play that one a lot. But no, seriously, I think Ani DeFranco. I don't know if you guys know Ani DeFranco.
I do.
Yeah, but that's one that
that is definitely not expected.
Yeah, I want to say came up on her like with like listening to her, but like I definitely late high school, college, you know, like got into that and kind of lends itself to that whole point I was making about like I'm all over the place sonically.
Yeah.
But very similar themes, you know, lyrically. She's a fucking phenomenal lyricist and songwriter. But and I haven't listened to her. Her newer stuff got a little weird. I say newer like as in like the last 15 years, but like her early albums, definitely love all that stuff. Basically anything that came out, you know, up until probably about 2003 or so. I was really into all that stuff.
Right on.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. But before we wrap things up here with you guys, do you have anything that you want to add, get off your chest, anything like that?
No, John, you got anything?
The loaded question. Records are sealed.
No, just thanks for having us. We appreciate you guys checking us out and having us on. That's pretty cool.
Hey, man, we
absolutely.
appreciate you dealing with the mishaps of people on jet lag and
Oh yeah,
not
yeah.
getting links.
That's right.
and-
We rescheduled from last
Yeah.
week, so
and
that
he
was
still wasn't here.
kind of my bad. Well,
It's all good.
but yeah, I had some stuff to take care of at the record store.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Life happens. No, everybody's busy.
Yeah, we
but no,
definitely got to know when that album drops, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely we'll keep an eye out for the record to come out, and I'll probably grip some up for the store and even for ourselves too, just because we both are looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
That's cool, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll hit you up.
Cool, sounds good. We'll have all of your Instagram and Bandcamp links and everything in the episode description, so anybody listening, go check them out, follow them, and then when you guys do drop the record physically and the whole thing digitally, we'll be sure to repost and promote and everything for that.
Awesome.
But
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate what you do.
You guys enjoy
Yeah.
the rest of your evening.
Yeah, you
All right, have a good one.
Thanks.